When I first started making videos on YouTube, I made every mistake possible. I was posting random videos, I was constantly changing topics, and I thought that buying more expensive gear would magically make my videos succeed, but all of that was incorrect. But now after making over 100 videos for Think Media, if I had to start over from zero, I would do these 7 things completely differently. Now the first thing I would do is very simple. I would just make and post my very first video. I wouldn't overthink it. I wouldn't plan it out for 6 months and strategize all the different things. I would start messy, I would just hit record, and then I'd hit upload. We work with so many creators who spend weeks or months watching videos and researching the best gear and just waiting for everything to be perfect before they hit record. And for me, it was like the studio space. As soon as I got my studio dialed in and all the perfect lighting and cameras, that's when I'd start my YouTube channel. And the truth is, the first video that you make is probably gonna be your worst video that you've ever made because it is the first one. My first video that I made on YouTube has been archived for many, many years because let me tell you, that thing was so embarrassing. I did not understand storytelling. I didn't understand good composition or anything like that, but it was an important first step because it got me moving in the right direction. Once you post that first video, everything else changes. You start building confidence, your focus increases, you get clarity of what kinds of videos you want to make next, and your channel starts to build. The second mistake that I made was in terms of tech, I was so focused on the camera aspect and what camera I would buy, what mirrorless camera, what DSLR was the most important one, and I neglected audio. And that's the biggest mistake that creators make. They really focus on the cameras and they don't focus on improving their audio. The reality check is your smartphone probably shoots better video than most cameras can even shoot 10 years ago. So use your smartphone, use your iPhone, it shoots like 4K, 120 FPS. I mean, these things are incredible. You got multiple lenses you can work with. So just start with your smartphone. But if you were gonna upgrade your equipment, I would first start with grabbing a solid microphone. Something as simple as like the Hollyland Lark M2, which has been out a couple years. I'm actually using it in this little windscreen, I'll show you. Here it is, this tiny little Hollyland Lark M2. It's like a $80, $90 mic system, and you can actually get it for cheaper too when it's on sale. This is a great beginner option, and the audio quality is going to sound outstanding, and you can use it for multiple use cases, like kind of talking head videos like this, or you can clip it onto your shirt to have wireless audio wherever you want to walk around. Very great starter microphone, but I'd first upgrade your audio. Then I just grabbed like a budget phone tripod. There's one from Sensign that you can get on Amazon for like 15 or 20 bucks. That's a great starter tripod. It can raise up super high if you want to stand up, or if you want to sit down, it also goes down fairly low, and it's got the little phone holder on it, only for about $15. Throw your smartphone on that tripod and then pair it with a nice wireless microphone like this, and you got a great starting point. And a bonus benefit to the simplicity of this kind of tech is you can focus more on your storytelling and your content delivery and not be so worried about what cameras and lightings and all these different cables you got to run. You just use your smartphone and a wireless mic and you should be set. Now, the third thing I would do differently is I would focus way more on mastering the search strategy. If I was starting my channel from zero, I would start building my content plan around YouTube search results. Remember that YouTube is the #2 search engine in the entire world, only second to Google search, and Google owns YouTube. So search strategy is one of the best ways to get discovered on YouTube. So instead of trying to make like really viral, catchy titles and thumbnails, I would focus more specifically on like a formula, like the how-to formula is so important. How to do XYZ. So for me, it'd be like how to make YouTube videos with your smartphone, or how to edit YouTube videos with your smartphone. I've made a ton of videos like this on this channel and even my personal channel, and I literally have not touched my personal channel in a year and a half, and I continue to get thousands of views per day because of this search strategy. And by answering those specific questions that users are searching for, eventually you're gonna have 1 or 2 of your videos take off and it'll do 100,000, 500,000, a million views or more, but you just gotta stay consistent and answer specific questions that audiences really do have a desire to have answered. And this is literally how us at Think Media gains hundreds of thousands of subscribers every year by leveraging this search strategy. And eventually, 1 or 2 of those videos will take off and you'll have 100,000, 500,000, or a million views or more on a specific video, but you just gotta stay consistent and serve your audience and people who are searching for specific answers to their specific questions. And a tool that I use to constantly come up with smart, searchable video ideas is called VidIQ. They've been a long time partner of this channel, but VidIQ helps you identify winning ideas for your specific channel, but also helps you spot outlier videos that are already blowing up in your specific niche. So you can research competitor videos and figure out what's actually working well on YouTube, and then apply that to your own content strategy. There's even a YouTube Studio plugin that you can add to your channel that helps you package your videos with stronger titles and descriptions and tags, all of which are so vitally important to get discovered in YouTube search. This is genuinely a tool I would use from day one if I were starting a YouTube channel this year and wanted to see results fast. So if you want to try this out for as little as $1 to get started, there's a link for you down in the description below. Now, the fourth thing I would do differently is I would borrow attention from bigger channels and bigger topics. I wouldn't just try to create all of my own ideas or videos from scratch. I would borrow from interest that's already there. If you're starting from zero, this literally means nobody knows who you are or what your channel's about. And there's a great book that I'd highly recommend. It's on the shelf behind me right here. It's called Day Trading Attention by Gary Vee. And really, Gary just kind of talks about how attention is already everywhere in this world and everyone is competing for attention at all times on every single platform. So the challenge you have to overcome as a new creator is, how do you compete with people who are already very visible and have been making content for years? Well, the way you do this is by what we call trend surfing. You're able to identify trends and topics that already have verifiable interests, and you can make content around those interests to give you a bit of a competitive advantage. There's a phrase we use here at Think Media called copy and taste. You don't want to copy and paste exact formats or video ideas or concepts directly from what other creators are doing, but if you can copy a similar style or pull inspiration from other creators and then add your own taste to that video, that's a great strategy that will make you feel like you're making your own content, but you can borrow from attention that's already available in different places. The fifth thing I would do differently is remember this phrase that content is king, but, and there's a big but here, and there's a phrase that goes, content is king, but marketing is queen and she runs the household. This is a big revelation that I didn't even really understand fully until I started working at Think Media to understand this concept of video packaging. Your video package is like the external branding or the marketing of your video to the world. And this includes things like what we call the 3 T's. This is your topic, your title, and your thumbnail. These are absolutely vitally important and more important than I ever even understood before working at Think Media to the success of getting your video seen in the first place. A lot of creators will come up with a video idea and then they'll just go and make the video. And then after that video is finished, they'll try to think through, okay, what's the title of this video and what should the thumbnail be? And they sort of think of those things as an afterthought, and they don't even fully think through the topic of their video. They just sort of have a generic idea of like, okay, the video is gonna be this, I'm just gonna go record it, and there's not a clear plan. And ideally, that whole workflow would actually be reversed, and you would have a very clear topic and idea that you've researched out and have verifiable demand for the attention of that video to exist in the first place. And then you would have a clear title in mind while you're shooting the video and a thumbnail already picked out, if not already completely created before the production of that video begins. So these are the kinds of things that determine whether a video even has a chance to perform well in the first place. You've got to have good marketing of your content, because while content is king and once somebody clicks on that video, the content inside of it is so vitally important to have really great storytelling and cut out all the fluff. Yeah, that's all important. But if nobody clicks on your video in the first place because of poor marketing and poor packaging, you've already lost the game. Now, the sixth thing that I would do differently is I would find a market gap. And most creators are posting in really crowded niches and trying to compete with some of the top creators who have already been established for quite a while. But if I was starting out, I would try to look for an underserved audience. So figure out what's missing in your space. And maybe you're into gaming or real estate or marketing, but you can find a specific area that's a little bit underserved where there's not a lot of content being produced, maybe about a specific game that was launched, or even like a side quest mission of a particular game for those really niche audience members. And it's important to remember that competition is always going to be highest for lazy content or even just like the broadest possible appeal. But competition is a lot less fierce when you niche down and focus on a particular target market group to make your content for. This is what I did on my personal YouTube channel before I started working for Think Media. I started really broad, too broad, and I was covering all sorts of tech and editing techniques and concert reviews, all this stuff that was not really related to each other. So then I narrowed my focus down to specifically budget Sony Alpha cameras. And I was reviewing like any Sony camera that I could get my hands on, talking about its pros and cons. And I kind of became known as a channel that focuses solely on budget Sony cameras and lenses and budget tech in particular. And if you want to learn more about this, there's a great book I recommend called Blue Ocean Strategy that will teach you how to create your own uncontested market space in whatever your specific creative discipline is. And the seventh and final thing that I would do differently if I was starting a channel this year is that I would treat YouTube like a business from day one. And maybe this is just a me thing because I'm kind of like somebody who loves business strategy and trying to figure out how I can leverage money out of everything that I do. But this is the mindset that I would go in with, that YouTube is a business, and how can I create a sustainable business model so I have money to fund the mission and the passion that I have for my channel. And there's a framework that we use here at Think Media called the 3P framework. And those P's are passion, proficiency, and profit. And you want to make sure that as you're creating your channel, you have all three of these in mind. The first P is passion. You want to make sure that you actually love what you're going to talk about, because you might make 100, 200 videos on this topic and you don't want to lose that passion. The second P is proficiency. So this is figuring out what kind of skills or knowledge do you have that you have a competitive advantage in. Maybe something you studied in school, or you've just spent hours researching, or like a game you've spent years playing and you're like an expert in this video game. These are all examples of things you could become proficient in, and you want to think through that proficiency piece. And that final P is profit. So what's the monetization strategy going to be for your channel? And a harsh reality is a lot of people want to rely on YouTube ad revenue. So YouTube paying you directly to run ads on your video. And this is by far the weakest way to make money on YouTube. Ideally, you want to have multiple methods for making money. Things like affiliate marketing, where you sell other people's products or services, and then you generate a commission from those sales. And a typical thing is like, I might link the Hollyland Lark M2 on this video, and if you buy that mic, we'll get a small commission sale from the sale of that microphone. You can also create your own products or services like courses, or physical products like merch, or get brand deals to promote brands on your channel. There's lots of different ways you can make money on YouTube, but you want to think through the profit piece before you start making your channel to figure out, how am I going to sustain this channel long term? Am I just going to try to rely on YouTube AdSense? If that's the case, you're going to need a ton of subscribers and a ton of watch time every single month, which is why if you're a smaller channel, it's smart to diversify your monetization strategy at the beginning so you have multiple revenue streams coming in, even if you have 1,000 subscribers or less. So these are the top 7 things I would do differently if I was starting a channel from scratch. But you got to remember, step 1 is to just make and publish your first video. Well, the easiest way to do this is to start by using your phone. So if you want to see this step-by-step guide of how to make YouTube videos on your phone, you can click or tap the screen right here to watch that video, and I'll see you in the next one.